Hello my friends, good morning from Japan. I want to give credit to Andre Hansen for sending me this link. Hello Banjo, check this flight from Tahiti, French Polynesia, to Galapagos Island, Ecuador, Quito. It's mostly landing LA or Mexico. It's off. And these were sailing Galapagos, Ecuador to Tahiti. So I checked this link out. Family of 5, couple and their 3 kids. They sailed from Galapagos to Tahiti in 18 days. The only problem is that they had the GPS, and GPS is just pretty much like flying. They punch the numbers, the code where they're going to, and the GPS gives them the distance and, takes them there. Here they went like 4 days or 5 days, they were sailing the boat, and then they switched it to the automatic pilot, and the automatic pilot took them to the very end of the journey. So the GPS gives them a distance of 3,000 miles and just takes them there because it's all based on the globe, of course. But took them 18 days to get from Galapagos to French Polynesia. But I want to check this out, some other things here. So what I did, I went to the website. I tried to book some flights from Tahiti to both Quito in Ecuador and Lima, Peru. Because, both places, there's a lot of tourist destinations, especially Lima, Peru, with all the Machu Picchu. There's a lot of things to see in that region. Bolivia, you can go to Pumapunku in Bolivia. So in theory, the distance between Tahiti and Ecuador would be 4,975 miles. But I couldn't find, you cannot find a direct flight. All flights go to North America, across the equator 2 times, one here, another one here, especially going to Peru. So you cross the equator 2 times. And actually, I could not even find one stop. All of them has 3 stops in Houston, and then comes down here. So let's check on the website. This is the website I went to. Matrix, it's a Google website for flights. Choose your flights. Matrix airfare search. So I tried to find 1 stop. I could not. All I could find is 3 stops. So it leaves Tahiti to Quito, stops in San Francisco, and then Houston George Bush Intercontinental Airport, and then goes on to Quito. Okay, so this is all of them goes straight to San Francisco, and pages, perhaps LA. But let's look now on the flat earth map and understand what's going on here. So here I have the flat earth map, the Gleason's projection. So let's look at really close. There you have it right here. You can understand why you cannot really fly directly from Tahiti to Lima, Peru, or from Tahiti to Quito, Ecuador. It's really long. Now, I checked the distance between Tahiti and San Francisco. Okay, now we have here, in this picture, we know that the distance between Tahiti and Quito is 4,975 miles in theory. Now, you would be surprised to know that the distance between Tahiti and San Francisco is about 4,000 miles. And the distance between San Francisco and Lima, Peru, or Quito, it's another 4,000 miles. So it's twice the distance. If we lived on a globe, it would be just 1 shot across the Pacific to Quito or Lima. Just like we see here on the board. If we lived really on a globe, you see this distance here is about the same distance as going from Tahiti to San Francisco, about the same distance from San Francisco to Quito, or it's even longer if you go to Peru, Lima. And you can understand why this flight really can't go. Here you see you cannot really fly straight from Tahiti to Quito, Equator, or Lima, Peru. The distance are much greater. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson said that below the equator, the distances are, it's bigger. So the Earth is not a ball at all. It's much wider.
So you spin, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. Yeah. Gets wider in the middle. And so Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning, and it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles. So it's not actually a sphere. It's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator. Well, it's like pear-shaped.
Yeah. And because they say it's much wider, even Neil deGrasse Tyson agrees with that, all these flight distance they calculate on the globe are wrong. They cannot be made. So even for you who thinks that like QF14 happened, it could never have happened on the globe because the distance on the globe below the equator are much greater. That's why Neil deGrasse Tyson said it's pear-shaped. But it's not, it's flat. This is the distance, and distance map is a great map. And yeah, they always brings out about the sun. It doesn't matter what's going on in the sky. We're talking about land masses, and all the flights. Every time we connect the flights to the flat Earth map, distance map, we got it. Things matches up. So here's the flights: Tahiti, San Francisco. They stop in Texas and then they go down to Quito, Ecuador, or Lima, Peru. And that's the way. There's no other way. You can check on the website. Let's go there again. Here you go. Tahiti. You stop in San Francisco. Stops. San Francisco, Houston, and then goes on to Quito, Ecuador. And the reason is right here. You can see the flat Earth map. If Earth was really a ball, and this flight could happen on the globe, but it does not work on the globe. It can only work on the flat Earth map. Another proof, another nail in the coffin of this fake globe based on science fiction.
All the things that were once considered science fiction are now centerpiece in our understanding of the nature of everything. In science, we always say that you make observations, you have a theory, you go make more observations, and it's a very, very tedious process. Wrong. Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
The true shape of the Earth is right here. We live on a flat, non-rotating Earth, Bible-based, under the Creator. That's what it is. Especially you globers. You gotta abandon this fake science fiction globe. It's just based on an imagination. As Michio Kaku said,
in science, we always say that you make observations, you have a theory, you go make more observations, and it's a very, very tedious process. Wrong. Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
So you see, it's all based on imagination, guys. So this is all for today, guys. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.